Janavalabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavalabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Raja Janarandana Yashodanandana Raja Janarandana Nativa Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Janavalabha Girivardhari Janavalabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Raja Janarandana Yashodanandana Raja Janarandana Nativa Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Madhava Kunjavihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjavihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radha. Jaya Radha Samasundara Samasundara. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Nitya Go Hare Ba, Hare Ba, Hare Ba, Hare Ba. Nitya Go Hare Ba, Hare Ba, Hare Ba, Hare Ba. Acharya Sudhar Sudhar Divangas Abhachan Bhakti Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Iskan Pamacharya Divangas Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Yo Vishnu Paparam Sabarvachacharya Sudhar Sudhar Shri Divangas Shri Bhakti Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Anand Puri Vaishnava Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Vidas Thakur Ki Jai Prince Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Sri Gaura Bhakta Ki Jai Shri Shri Hare Krishna Gopal Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gandharajman Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glory is to the simple devotees. All glory is to the simple devotees. All glory is to the simple devotees. All glory, Shri Guru and Shri Guranga. All glory, Shri Prabhupada Ki.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Welcome to all the devotees. Thank you very much for attending our online Srimad Bhagavatam study systematically. We are going to be covering Canto 1, Chapter 2, text verses number 1 to 5. Just a sound check. Sound is good. Thank you very much. Okay. Right, let us cover the prayers. Om Jnanatimi Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utaparakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Sarva Shastra Piyusha Sarva Vedike Satphala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya Sarva Lokai Drit Prada Sarva Bhagavata Prana Shrimad Bhagavato Prabhu Kali Dvando Didaditya Shri Krishna Parivartita O Srimad Bhagavatam, O nectar churn from the ocean of all Vedic scriptures, O most transcendental fruit of all the Vedas, O you are enriched with the jewels of all spiritual philosophical conclusions, O you grant spiritual vision to all the people of the world, O life breath of the Vaishnava devotees, O Lord, you are the sun which has arisen to dispel the darkness of Kali Yuga. You are actually Lord Krishna who has returned amongst us. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshasharayate Sarvada Sarva Sevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namastute. O Srimad Bhagavatam, offer my respectful obeisance to you. By reading, one attains transcendental bliss. For your syllables rain pure love of God upon the reader. You are always to be served by everyone, for you are incarnation of Lord Krishna. Madeka Bando Mad Sanghi Mad Guru Mad Mahadana Manishtaraka Mad Bhagya Manananda Namastute. O Srimad Bhagavatam, O my only friend, O my companion, O my teacher, O my great wealth, O my deliverer, O my good fortune, O my bliss, offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Asadu sadhu tadai natti nichocha taraka hanamuncha kada chinmam premna ritkatayo spura. O Srimad Bhagavatam, O give of saintliness to the unsaintly, O uplift the very fallen, please do not ever leave me. Please become manifest Mahatma throat. Come be my pure love of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janmadyasya yatonvayaditarata charte swabhigna swarat tene brahma hidaya adikavaye muyanti yatsuraya tejo vari mridam yatha vinimayo yatta trisargom mrisha damna svena sada nirasta kuhakam satyam param dhimahi. O my Lord Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisance unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute truth and the primal cause of all causes of creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations, and he is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representation of water seen in fire, or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna, who is eternally existent in transcendental abode, which is forever free from the illusory representation of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Prayanalpayusha sabya kalavasmin yuge jana mandasumanda matayo mandabhagya upadrutra. O learned man, in this iron age of Kali, men have but short lives. They are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, and unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. Narayanam namaskritya narachevam narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jaya mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhakti radokshaje ahoitiki apratihata yayatma suprasiddhati. The supreme occupation dharma for all men, all humanity, is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendental Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayatyasu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayad Ahoitukam. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. Vedanti tattattvas vidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti sabhyate. Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth call this non-dual substance Brahman Paramatma Bhagavan. Shushrushroshraddhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevanat. O twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely free from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one attains the eternity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. Shranvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Rityantastoya Badrani Vidunoti Shuritsatam. Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is Paramatma Supersoul in everyone's heart and a benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses the desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtues when properly heard and chanted. Nastaprayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike. By regular attendance in the class on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed in loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are covering Srimad Bhagavatam based on the teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. All right, let us cover some feedback. You can please share with us what you took away from last week's session. Also, just a sound check for those that are on YouTube. On the chat, you can just let me know if the sound is back and clear. Okay, you can either unmute or you can type in the chat what you took away from last week's lesson. A devotee, Mother Archana Siddhi says, as devotees, we must cultivate ourselves on how to spiritually help every living entity. Yes, that is a very important limb and activity in Krishna consciousness to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The pure devotees are para dukkha dukhi. They suffer when they see others suffering. Therefore, they don't want people to suffer. And that is why they try their best to try to give Krishna consciousness to others. Sham says that, let's go. Giridhari Prabhu says, anyone may read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam repeatedly throughout his whole life and yet find new information in them. Spiritual scriptures will always purify you, and every time you see a different perspective. Yes, that's the wonderful, glorious activity. Just by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, even Krishna consciousness, if we hear it and read with the proper attention and attitude, we will always experience a different, we will get different experiences, we will get different realizations. Sham says there are you heard about the 6 questions of the sages. And I also asked you to reflect on these 6 questions. Obviously memorize the 6 questions, and we'll cover those just now. Why are these 6 questions relevant to us in a practical sense? So let us cover some feedback, and then I'd like to hear some of your realizations on that. Krishna Devidasa says, Hare Krishna, Guru is spiritual guide, not a materialistic pearl on the side. Yes, we should not be asking our spiritual master for material advice. Nilikanta Prabhu says, Srila Prabhupada gave us the holy name, Srimad Bhagavatam, and everything. Very true. Prayers, temporary or immediate gratification, and Shreyas, permanent long-term gratification, from Giridhari Prabhu. Yes. We should always have our goal should be on Shreyas, the ultimate goal, and prayers should actually be molded, the immediate gratification and goals should be molded to that ultimate goal. In that way, both Shreyas and prayers become perfectly aligned. Mother Atmadarshan says, Hare Krishna, to have a relationship with Krishna, we need to have a relationship with the holy name. So, in the material world, we have no alternative but to have a relation with the holy name, because that's really the way we start our spiritual journey and surrender to Krishna. And the aspect of the Vedas always say we need to know Krishna, we need to be attracted to Krishna, we need to engage in devotional service to Krishna, we have to always remember Krishna. And the way we do that and measure that in this age of Kali Yuga is really through Krishna's holy name, which is not different from him. So if we always remember the holy name, we are attached to the holy name, we render service to the holy name, we render service to those who are chanting the holy names. In this way, we can understand that, yes, I actually have an attachment and attraction, a taste to serving Krishna and associating with Krishna. So we measure, it's a very good barometer to measure my attachment to Krishna through the holy name. Mother Hemavati says, the best way to remember the Lord to chant, how to measure our love for Krishna and our attachment to chanting. Yes. Tanuja says, spiritual life means Krishna in the center. We measure our attachment to Krishna by our attachment in relation to the holy name. Very good. Time in Kali Yuga is limited. People in this age are lazy in matter of spirituality. This planet has danger everywhere of its manifestation. We therefore need not waste time but cultivate more spirituality. True. Mother Les says, need to have both feet in one boat. If we put Krishna in the center and follow spirituality, then not only not only spiritually well being manifest, but you also automatically get so yes, not only do you get spiritual well-being, but you also get material well-being. Correct. Spiritual well-being is automatically followed, yes, by material well-being. In a spiritual activities are regulated. In spiritual life, all our activities are regulated. Yes. And in this age of Kali Yuga, bhakti should be practiced all the time. Very good. Yes. Thank you very much for your feedback. All right. So let's see who can tell us in sequence the 6 different questions that were answered by the sages. And I'd like you to unmute and share each one in sequence, right? So number 1, tell us what was the first question that the sages wanted to know about. And you can unmute and tell us. And those on YouTube also, you can type in the chat.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mother. Ajna Siddhi.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Jai.
The first question was, what is ultimate good for all?
Yes, very good. So the first question was, what is the ultimate good for all mankind? Very good. Somebody else can tell us the second question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Dhanuja.
It's what is the essence of the scriptures?
Yes, second question was, what is the essence of all the scriptures? Very good. Third question.
Hare
Yes,
Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
The third one is, what is the purpose of Krishna's appearance?
Yes, very good. Why did Krishna appear? Please tell us. And naturally, when you hear about why did Krishna appear, you hear everything else of Krishna's pastimes. And so it's really a question that's triggering unfolding all of Krishna's pastimes. Very good. Fourth question.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mother Hemavati Radhika.
Please tell us about the Purusha avatars.
Right. Please tell us about the Purusha avatars. Specifically, the 3 Purushas that are involved in creation. So now we're going to hear about the creation and why the creation is also relevant to understanding Krishna. Very good. Fifth question. Yes, Sukadeva Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Please tell us about the Leela avatars.
Right. Please tell us about the Leela avatar so that we can hear all about the different incarnations Krishna takes to protect the devotees and establish Dharma. Very good. And the last question.
Where did religious principles go?
Right. Where did correct? Very good, Dandu Prabhu. Where did religious principles take shelter? When Krishna left this world. Wonderful. All right. So thank you very much for sharing that. Now I'd like to hear from the devotees. Maybe 3 devotees can share, and you can unmute as well. What these questions, why are they relevant specifically to us in this age of Kali Yuga? You must have contemplated on them, maybe one of them, maybe all of them. Why did you feel that these questions are really relevant? Please share with us. Could be anyone. You can unmute and share. Because we're going to hear, Sutta Goswami is going to say they were very relevant. But specifically for you, if you had to meditate on them, why are these questions pertinent, specifically relevant to you?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Lash.
So Prabhu, I'm going to take a stab at this. It's essentially relevant because we all live in the age of Kali. And if we want to make spiritual progress, then we need to follow the teachings, but not the full teachings, because we do not have capacity to understand that. We need the essence of the teachings, the cream of it, and these particular points that will be answered or given to us in the Srimad Bhagavatam will help us in a concise way, and just give us the relevant points so that our mind doesn't wander everywhere and we get lost. It will direct us to the ultimate goal, to Krishna.
Very good. Yes, definitely. That, as you mentioned, very concisely, that if the Vedas are all there, they're all accessible. Yes, not in its entirety, because firstly, many of them have been lost over time. So that's another reason. But the essence is key for us, because we don't have time. We are very unqualified in many ways, and therefore the sages are asking very specific questions, like a doctor giving a clear prescription to the pharmacist, right? Give him this 3 times, this is the medication and this is the dosage. So very particular, very clear, very concise. Therefore, we really don't need any other scripture to perfect our lives besides Srimad Bhagavatam. And that is why it was mentioned that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the preacher of Srimad Bhagavatam, because that is where all the philosophy, intact, concise, clear, no ambiguity, focus, no cheating, given to us through these questions. Thank you very much. Anyone else had any other realizations?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
It's for self-realization, because it gives us the knowledge that we need in a way that we can understand in this age. And we shouldn't waste this rare birth, and to develop our relationship with Krishna, to chant the holy name, to perfect our lives, because there is a spiritual world. This is not the be-all and end-all, and we belong there, not here, and we're servants of Krishna.
Very good. Yeah, so Srimad Bhagavatam is going to cover all these aspects, right? Ultimately, because the objective, the goal of human form of life, and Srila Prabhupada mentioned that few times in those verses, in these sets of verses, that human life is meant for self-realization, not for sense gratification. And Bhagavatam is now going to enlighten us through these 6 questions, which are focusing on self-realization. Very good. And one more.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I think these 6 questions, as Prabhupada's one book says, perfect questions and perfect answers. It's what we need in, especially Maharshi mentioned, Kali Yuga, and that one verse about we have short lives, we're misguided, we're unlucky. So these 6 questions will actually provide us with the 6 perfect answers, and more than that, how to navigate ourselves in this precarious times and this age, so that we realize our lost relationship with the Supreme. And you know, if you look at each one of those questions, it's hitting out at our focus areas that we need to pay attention to.
Yes, very good, wonderful, thank you. So perfect questions, perfect answers. We got now 6 perfect questions, and we're going to start hearing about the answers. And yes, they could, and Sutta Goswami could answer these in simple 6 answers, but he's not going to do that. He's really going to unfold, he's going to give an ocean for each of the 6 questions, so that there is no shortage of contemplating on these answers. There will be no shortage of using our memory, intelligence, and time to spend on these 6 questions. If we can mold our lives around these 6 questions. So for example, if you want to speak to someone, guess what you can speak about? The 6 questions. If you want to criticize something, guess what you can criticize about? These 6 questions. when I talk about criticize, compare, contrast, why didn't the sages ask about this question? Why did they ask about this specific question? So we can this way speak about these questions, and in that way mold our life around these 6 questions. Thank you very much for everyone for sharing. Let us now cover from last week's session, or during the Q&A, Mother Lesh asked this question in regards to verse 12. In the purport, Prabhupada says, Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appeared to Devaki, the wife of Vasudeva. Vasudeva is the symbol of the transcendental position wherein the appearance of the Supreme Lord takes place. So I'm going to expand this a little and put it in more proper context. I did, answer that, and I thought I'll share a little more in terms of what this really means. We understand that Krishna appeared to Devaki and Vasudeva. Right? First, Krishna appeared into Vasudeva's heart and mind, and then from there transferred to Mother Devaki. So Vasudeva was a medium in which the Lord took his birth from. Right? Therefore, it's now it's not talking about Vasudeva the father, but Vasudeva as a symbol of transcendental position. Vasudeva, Krishna's father, was a pure devotee. Therefore, Vasudeva as a symbol is in a transcendental position where the Lord can take place, which means that no material arrangement, no material situation can allow the Lord to appear. For the Lord to appear, there has to be Vasudeva, the transcendental position, with Mother Devaki, pure devotion. So Prabhupada talks about this point in different purports. Prabhupada says in Srimad Bhagavatam 24:10, real goodness is in the transcendental world. Here in the material world, the quality of goodness is not pure. Goodness may exist, but there must be some tinges of passion and ignorance. In the spiritual world, the unalloyed qualities of goodness prevails. The quality of goodness is called Suddha Sattva, or pure goodness. Another name for Suddha Sattva is Vasudeva, because God is born from Vasudeva. Another meaning is that when one is purely situated in the qualities of goodness, he can understand the form, name, quality, paraphernalia, and entourage of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the goal is to rise above from ignorance to passion to goodness, and above goodness to come to the platform of pure goodness, Suddha Sattva, or Vasudeva, where one can understand and where the Lord can take birth. Then in purport 4.3.23, Prabhupada says, therefore, Suddha Sattva, as described in this verse, is the transcendental position, which is technically called Vasudeva. Vasudeva is also the name of the person from whom Krishna appears. This verse explains that the pure state is called Vasudeva, because it is that state, Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is revealed without any covering. So Vasudeva is a transcendental state called Suddha Sattva. Then Prabhupada continues, Vasudeva is the ground wherein Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is revealed. When one is free from the contamination of material nature and is situated in pure Krishna consciousness, or is in Vasudeva state, Vasudeva, the personality of the Supreme Person, is revealed. So it's the platform, the ground, the basis, the foundation, the position from which we can experience and see Krishna. Then again, Prabhupada continues in the same purport. In pure devotional service, one simply serves the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a matter of duty, without reason and without being impeded by material conditions. That is called Suddha Sattva or Vasudeva, because in that stage, the Supreme Person, Krishna, is revealed in the heart of the devotee. Srila Jiva Goswami has very nicely described this Vasudeva or Suddha Sattva in his Bhagavad Sandarbha. He explains that that Astotara Sata 108 is added to the names of the spiritual master to indicate one who is situated in Sudasattva or in the transcendental state of Vasudeva. The word Vasudeva is also used for other purposes. For example, Vasudeva also means one who is everywhere and all pervading. Okay, so this I'm sure gives a little more clarity in terms of the answer of what is proper meaning when you say Vasudeva is the symbol of transcendental position, right? Which means Prabhupada is talking about Sudasattva platform, Vasudeva, the mode of pure goodness. That's the platform that Prabhupada is talking about. We have to be on that platform for us to experience Krishna. And that is why rising above the mode of ignorance and passion is absolutely crucial. And trying to practice Krishna consciousness and living our life in a mode of goodness will help us transcend goodness to come to pure goodness. So we're going to recap chapter 1, questions by the sages. We covered 23 verses. First 3 was discussing the prelude. Then 4 to 8, the sages glorified Sutta Goswami. And then finally, 9 to 23, the sages described the condemned state of Kali Yuga people, and our 6th question expressing the eagerness to hear. And then we covered these 6 questions. Question 1, what is the ultimate good? Question 2, the essence of all scriptures. Question 3, the purpose of Krishna's appearance. Question 4, the Purusha avatars. Question 5, leader avatars. And question 6, shelter of religion after Krishna's disappearance. Just an overview of chapter 2 called Divinity and Divine Service, a beautiful and wonderful chapter. We're going to get so many wonderful gems from this chapter, because in this chapter, the first 2 questions, well, initially in the first 2 questions will be answered, then we'll cover at the end of the chapter, we're going to cover question 4 and question 3 will be answered. Right? So the first 2 questions are extremely important, and therefore right on the onset, we're going to be hearing about the answers to these questions. The breakdown of this chapter, first 7 verses, Sutta Goswami's response. Then from 8 to 15, he's going to talk about only bhakti is to be gained by one's prescribed work. In 16 to 22, he's going to talk about the progressions of bhakti. From 23 to 29, only Krishna is to be worshipped. Then 30 to 33, answer to question 4. And then 34, answer to question 3. Right? And 8 to 15 is going to be answering question 1 and question 2. And we're not going to go into the detailed breakdown. You can read that on your own. Right? So we're going to be covering the first 5 questions, which is really Sutta Goswami's response after he heard the questions that the sages have inquired from, guided by Shonaka Rishi. So Shonaka Rishi, he was representing all the sages in the forest, and on behalf of all the sages, Shonaka Rishi asked these 6 questions on behalf of the sages. Vyasa uvacha iti shams prashna samshristo vipranam romaharshani pratipujya vachastesham pravaktum upachakrame. Ugrashava, Sutta Goswami, the son of Romaharshana, being fully satisfied by the perfect questions of the Brahmanas, thanked them and thus attempted to reply. So, as we said, these are perfect questions, perfect answers. And Sutta Goswami also, he was very happy with these questions. Because why? They, no doubt, are perfect questions. And we're going to be hearing why are these questions perfect. Is it because of the grammar? Is it because of the words that we use? why are these questions perfect? We're going to be covering that. Text 2. Sutta vacha yam pravrajantam anupetam apeta krityam dvaipayano virahakatara ajjuhava putreti tanmayatara mayatayatarovo binedus tam sarva bhuta hridayam munin anantosmi. Srila Sutta Goswami said, "Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto that great sage, Sukadeva Goswami, who can enter the hearts of all. When he went away to take up the renounced order of life, sannyas, leaving home without undergoing reformation by the sacred threads and the ceremonies observed by the higher castes, his father, Vasudeva, fearing separation from him, cried out, 'O my son, O my son, indeed only the trees which were absorbed in the same feeling of separation echoed in response to the bereaved father.'" So Sukta Goswami is now responding to the questions, but his response is started off first with offering respectful obeisance unto his spiritual master, which is Sukadeva Goswami. So he's not just answering, but he's first offering respects and obeisances to Sukadeva Goswami, his spiritual master. Let us, and in the verse, he's talking about, he's giving a glimpse of Sukadeva Goswami's life, how Sukadeva Goswami left, and his father was calling him, but only the trees responded. So I'll share a little about Sukadeva Goswami's life. As we heard, Sukadeva Goswami, originally, he is the spiritual parrot of Srimati Radhavani, Sukha. And when Radha and Krishna left this world 5,000 years ago, they instructed this parrot Sukha to stay behind. Naturally, Sukha did not want to stay behind. Sukha was lamenting, how can I stay behind when you all leave? My heart will be broken. And Srimati Radhavani told Sukha that don't worry, wherever there is the glorification of Krishna, you will feel our presence there. So in this way, they encouraged Sukha, and Sukha, naturally understanding that there must be great service for him, stayed behind. As Sukha was flying throughout the universe, trying to find that place where Krishna Katha was being glorified, he was flying past Mount Kailash. And as he came past Mount Kailash, he heard the glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Shiva was narrating Srimad Bhagavatam to Mother Parvati. And Mother Parvati was sitting, Lord Shiva with closed eyes was narrating the Bhagavatam. Sukha immediately came into sat on the branches of the tree, one of the branches of the tree, and started hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from Lord Shiva. Mother Parvati had, to respond as Lord Shiva is narrating to make sure that Parvati was awake. She was asked to, respond. So every now and then she was saying, that means she was awake and listening. But as the Bhagavatam, was continuing, the Mother Parvati fell off to sleep. And Sukha, he saw that and he didn't want Lord Shiva to stop. So he continued saying, and in this way, Lord Shiva was able to continue. As soon as Lord Shiva ended the Bhagavatam Katha, he opened his eyes and he saw that Parvati was fast asleep. She was resting. Then he was wondering, well, if she's resting, then who was hearing the Bhagavatam and who was making that noise or that sound? Looked around and he saw the parrot. And at that time, in fact, the Bhagavatam was only given to great exalted souls, qualified souls, exalted souls, Paramahamsas. And it's described that if it's given to unfortunate, unqualified souls, there can be great destruction. So Lord Shiva was very unhappy that he didn't know who Sukha was. And this parrot heard the Bhagavatam, so immediately took his trident and chased the parrot. Sukha immediately started flying away from Lord Shiva's trident, and Lord Shiva was chasing Sukha throughout the universe, trying to kill Sukha. Sukha flew over Badrik Ashram, and there in Badrik Ashram, Vyasadeva was narrating Srimad Bhagavatam to his wife. And at one point, his wife yawned. And Sukha took this opportunity to go transcendentally into her mouth and into her womb. And that is how she gave birth to Sukadeva. Sukha went in the womb, stayed there. Lord Shiva came, and Vyasadeva encouraged him not to harm the parrot, because anyone who hears the Bhagavatam becomes purified. So in this way, he was pacified, and Lord Shiva went. But now Sukha was in the womb, and he didn't stay in the womb of Vyasadeva's mother for 9 months. In fact, he stayed in the womb for 16 years. We can just imagine how difficult that would have been for Vyasadeva's wife, and not mother, Vyasadeva's wife. And after 16 years, Srila Vyasadeva was concerned, therefore he called Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna came, started speaking to Sukadeva Goswami, and told him that you can come out. And Sukha said, no, I don't want to come out because I don't want to get involved in this material nature. And Lord Krishna said, no, you are liberated already. You will never be entangled. Don't worry. I bless you. You will not be entangled. So immediately Sukadeva came out, and the moment he came out, he renounced. He didn't go through any reformatory processes. He was already liberated, perfect, came out and left to the forest. Srila Vyasadeva chased after him because Vyasadeva was attached to his son, but Sukadeva Goswami was not interested, and as his father was calling him, only the trees responded. And Sukha went into the forest. While in the forest, Vyasadeva, after years, he sent his disciples to recite the verses from the 10th canto, glorifying Krishna and Krishna's pastimes. And these verses really attracted Sukadeva Goswami when he heard these verses. And they told him that actually Srila Vyasadeva has more of these verses, and this is how they brought him back to the hermitage, because these verses really caught his attention, caught his heart. And Srila Vyasadeva then spoke the whole Srimad Bhagavatam to Sukadeva Goswami, taught him the Bhagavatam, and this is how Sukadeva Goswami then came when Maharaj Parikshit decided to leave his body in 7 days. So this is how Sukadeva Goswami appeared in this world. Srila Prabhupada then also makes the point that Sukadeva Goswami is glorifying his spiritual master, he's remembering his spiritual master. So there are many verses that tell us about the wonderful benefits and glories of remembering pure devotees of the Lord, especially the spiritual master. It's explained, this verse is quoted, in fact, by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Guru Vaishnava Bhagavan Tinera Smarana Tinera Smarane Haya Vigna Vinashana Anaya Se Haya Nija Vachinta Purana. I meditate on the Guru, the Vaishnavas, and the Lord. By remembering them, all obstacles are destroyed, and one quickly attains the fulfillment of all desires. We will hear again and again that faith is a very, very important ingredient for allowing the verses, the instructions to fructify, to have their desired result. They say faith can move mountains. So if one has faith in Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, to that degree that one has the faith, to that degree the results are there. So here it's described just by hearing, or just by remembering about Guru, Sadhu, and the Lord, one can destroy all obstacles and all one's desires can be fulfilled. So we should never underestimate the benefit of remembering Srila Prabhupada's pastimes, Krishna's pastimes, the holy name, and the holy name's pastimes. We should never underestimate. It is very powerful. Then it's explained as a famous verse that Vignartham Sagurum eva bigachat samitpani shrotriam brahmanishtam. In order to realize the truth, one should take gifts in hand and approach a spiritual master who is learned and fixed in Brahman. And the word samidhi, gifts, used here literally means wood for the sacrificial fire. We know Lord Krishna also, when he was staying in Sandipani Muni's ashram, he went to the forest to get wood with Sudama. So that is one service we can render in a hermitage where we're staying with the spiritual master. But it is taken to have an extended meaning, which includes all three elements of surrender mentioned in the Gita: obeisances, submissive inquiry, and service. So we can also offer this to the spiritual master. We can offer obeisances, and this is what Sutta Goswami is doing. We can offer submissive inquiry, we can inquire, and we can render service. Then in Hari Bhakti Vilas, there's another statement that's in 146. Another verse is quoted from the Samohana Tantra, which also says that one should keep his Ishtadev, that means one's worshipper Lord, his Guru, and his mantra secret. It also says that he should also keep his Japamala hidden, which is why Gaudiya Vaishnavas always keep their Japam beads hidden from view in a cloth bag. So we should not be broadcasting our Ishtadev, our Guru, the secret mantra, and even our Japamala. And there are many reasons. One reason is those things which are dear to our heart, those things which are intimate, that we cherish dear, right? Those things we don't publicize. Those things are not meant for the public. They're not meant for Facebook, right? These things are meant to be cherished, treasured, and kept in your heart. Like when you have an intimate exchange with someone, that intimate exchange is cherished when it's kept secret in your own heart. It's not, shared to everyone. Those personal exchanges are your personal exchanges that you need to keep. In terms of Japamala, it's interesting that it's explained that if your beads are outside, then the benefit also is shared. Like the ghosts, they get the benefits, etc. Different benefits are shared. So if you want maximum benefit, you keep your beads in your bead bag, right? Because you want maximum purification so you can help others. So that's in terms of this point of remembering one's spiritual master, offering obeisances, right? And in this way, getting the blessings of one's spiritual master. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada talks about, and in the verse, how Srila Vyasadeva did not, Srila Sukadeva Goswami did not go through any of the purificatory rites. And generally, the institution of Varna and Ashram, that is where all these different purificatory rites are given so that one can progressively advance. Prabhupada writes that, therefore, unless in any society the Varnasham Dharma is not there, they are not human beings. So from animal life we need to move to human life. From human life, we move to spiritual life. So animals, they have unrestricted sense gratification. Varnashram system is designed so that people can become human beings. There are specific rules that govern the different varna and ashrams. And when one is a human being, then slowly Varnashram can help that person become spiritual, become a spiritual being. Therefore, Varnashram system is very, very crucial and very important. There are 10 different kinds of reformatory methods called Dasavida Samskars, like Garbhadan Samskar, grain givings, purificatory rite, wedding, then the final rite, funeral ceremonies. These are different rites that are there, or different ceremonies that are there to create proper samskars and impressions, spiritual impressions for the soul as the soul is evolving. I'm not going to go into the details of this diagram, just to share that in the Varnashram system, there's the ashrams, sannyas, vanaprastha, grihastha, and brahmachari. Then there's the 4 varnas, brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, and sudra. And all qualities, beneficial, conducive, divine qualities like simplicity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault-finding, compassion for living entities, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, freedom from envy, which Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita. These qualities are particular to different varnas and ashrams. The Brahmana, he has all these divine qualities or godly qualities, right? And in the other varnas and ashrams, specific qualities become more predominant, right? Like the brahmachari, his focus should be to serve the spiritual master and study scripture, right? The grihastas, they should be giving in charity. They should be self-controlled, and they should be engaging in sacrifice. So in this way, this is the system of Varna and Ashrama. But Sukadeva Goswami, he was transcendental to these Varnas and Ashrams. He just left from birth into the forest, didn't get any initiation, nothing, because he was already liberated from birth. Prabhupada in the purport talks about the Brahmana and Vaishnava. Prabhupada writes, generally a man is born as an ordinary being, and by the purificatory process, he is born for the second time. When he sees a new light and seeks direction for progress, he approaches the spiritual master for instruction in the Vedas. The spiritual master accepts only the sincere inquirer as his disciple and gives him the sacred thread. In this way, a man becomes twice born, or Dvija. After qualifying as a Dvija, one may study the Vedas, and after becoming well versed in the Vedas, one becomes a Vipra. A Vipra, or qualified Brahmana, thus realizes the absolute and makes further progress in spiritual life until he reaches the Vaishnava stage. And the Vaishnava stage is a postgraduate status of a Brahmana. A progressive Brahmana must necessarily become a Vaishnava, for Vaishnava is a self-realized, learned Brahmana. So here it's important to understand that Vaishnavism and being a Vaishnava is the postgraduate. It's the goal of all the different stages. And this debate of who's higher, a Brahmana and a Vaishnava, has been there throughout history. Especially, in a few hundred years ago, the system of caste consciousness, caste Brahmanas was there, even during Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's time. The caste Brahmanas, their concept was, if you're not born in a Brahmanical family, you cannot be a Brahmana. You cannot study the Vedas, you cannot be initiated. So they created this this split, this concoction, which is not scriptural, not founded in scripture. Krishna created these divisions, guna, karma, vibhaga, according to guna, qualities, and karma, not according to janma, not according to birth. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, when he was here, he debated with these Brahmanas. There was a debate to once and for all establish who's higher, who's more glorious, the Brahman or the Vaishnava. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had to go for the debate, and he sent Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Samaj. And there was this assembly of all the Brahmanas and all the Vaishnavas. And when Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj given the stage to speak, he started to glorify, because there are many verses in the scriptures glorifying the position of a Brahmana. It's explained Krishna eats through the mouth of a Brahmana. Just like if you want to, if you cook some preparations for the Supreme Lord, and if you want to know whether Krishna ate, then it's explained you feed it to the Brahmana. And if the Brahmana relishes it and says, very nice, then you must know Krishna accepted it. So in this way, Krishna eats through the mouth of the Brahmanas. Krishna, he honors, Ko Brahmana Itaicha. He honors the Brahmanas. So like that, so many verses. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj started to glorify the Brahmanas, quoting so many verses. And the Brahmanas thought, just see, we winning the debate. He's supposed to be glorifying the Vaishnavas. He's glorifying us. We're gonna win the debate. And then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, after glorifying the Brahmanas, he then turned and started glorifying the Vaishnavas that were more superior than the Brahmanas, quoting only scripture, and completely mesmerized the whole audience, even the Brahmanas. They were so bowled over, so worn out, from his amazing presentation, that they all wanted to touch his feet. Can you imagine? Hundreds of people just ran to grab his feet. And police were there, so the police, tried to stop the crowd, because there would have been a stampede. And they told Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj that, we have to bathe your feet and take the water and throw it on the crowd. Otherwise, it's going to be disastrous. So then they washed Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj's feet. They sprinkled the water to satisfy everyone. And in this way, it was established that the Vaishnava is higher than a Brahmana. Then Prabhupada continues, Srila Sukadeva Goswami was a Vaishnava from the beginning. Therefore, there was no need for him to undergo all the processes of Varnashram institution. Ultimately, the aim of Varnashram Dharma is to turn a crude man into a pure devotee of the Lord, or a Vaishnava. Anyone, therefore, who becomes a Vaishnava, accepted by the first class Vaishnava or Uttama Adhikari Vaishnava, is already considered a Brahmana, regardless of his birth or past deeds. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted this principle and recognized Srila Haridas Thakur as an Acharya of the holy name, although Thakur Haridas appeared in a Mohammedan family. So here we see Sri Mahaprabhu establishing this fact that if you have the qualification, the guna of a Brahmana or of a Vaishnava, that's what qualifies you, not your birth. Srila Haridas Thakur was born in a Mohammedan family. Therefore, from the caste Brahmana's perspective, he was totally disqualified. That's one reason why he was not even allowed to go into the Jagannath temple, because they still have this concept that if you're not born in India, you can't come and see. In fact, when Srila Prabhupada went to Jagannath Puri, he didn't appreciate this. During one talk in Jagannath Puri, there was a conference, and Srila Prabhupada, he noted that they did not allow his disciples to go. So Srila Prabhupada the next day gave a talk, and he told the pandas there in the audience that Lord Jagannath, he is Jagannath. He's the Lord of the universe. He's not Auryanath. He's the Lord of the whole universe. So why are you not allowing devotees from all over the world to come and see their worshipful Lord? And Prabhupada was very strong. He said, if you don't change, then Lord Jagannath will leave the temple and come with us. So we know we also have Jagannath in Navadvip there. Then there's this beautiful pastime to also emphasize this point and illustrate this point. There was a young boy, Satyakama. And Satyakama, he wanted to learn from Gautama Rishi. join his ashram and learn from him. And Gautama Rishi, he came to Gautama Rishi, and Gautama Rishi asked him that before you can join, you need to tell me what lineage you come in. What's your gotra? What's your lineage? So you please go to your mother and ask your mother what's your lineage. So he went to his mother and he asked his mother that what is our lineage? Who's my father? Where do I come? What is our line? And he was the son of Jabala, and Jabala was a prostitute. So she hesitated, and then she said, okay, you tell Gautama that you are Jabala Satyakama. So he went to Gautama Rishi, and Gautama Rishi asked him the same question, what is your gotra? And Satyakama said that my mother said to tell you that I am Jabala Satyakama. And Gautama could understand that Jabala was coming in line of prostitutes. So therefore, this was his response. And Gautama Rishi was very happy with Satyakama. He was very calm. He did not, become embarrassed. And most important, his mother and him said the truth. They didn't hide the fact that they, are not coming in a proper lineage, that he doesn't have a father, or they don't know their father. And because of him being truthful, Gautama Rishi accepted him, trained him in his ashram, and in fact, he became so qualified that he excelled as one of the top disciples, and he wrote Jabala Upanishad, which is a treatise on sannyas. So this is establishing the fact that it's not about your birth. Anyone can be born in any situation, but if we embrace the appropriate Brahmanical qualities, then we become qualified. And what are the Brahmanical qualities? In 18th chapter Bhagavad Gita, verse 42, Krishna explains, Samodamastapa Saucham Shantir Arjanamavevacha Jnanam Vijnanam Astikyam Brahma Karma Swabhavajam. Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmana works. And by practicing Krishna consciousness, these qualities should naturally adorn our being. Because, as Prabhupada explains, a Vaishnava is post-graduate Brahmana. Therefore, as we becoming devotees of Krishna, these qualities we should try to apply, and we should, by the process, automatically develop, right, these qualities. Then verse 3, Yaswanubhavam akila shrutisharamekam adhyatmadipam atitir satam tamondam samsharinam karunayaha puranam guyam tam vyasasunum upayami gurum muninam. Let me offer my respectful obeisance unto him, Sukha, the spiritual master of all sages, the son of Vasudeva, who, out of his great compassion for those gross materialists who struggle to cross over the darkest regions of material existence, spoke this confidential supplement to the cream of the Vedic knowledge, after having personally assimilated it by experience. So very, very wonderful. Here we are also hearing why these 6 questions are very important, because it is revealing the compassion of the sages, and naturally the answer is also going to be given to us based on compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Prabhupada, in the verse, or in that word to word, in relation to this word Swanubhavam, Swanubhavam Akila, it's glorifying one of the traits, qualities of Sukadeva Goswami. That Sukadeva Goswami, he had personally assimilated the Vedic teachings, the cream of the Vedas, Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada gives this translation, self-assimilated experience. In his lectures, Prabhupada also gave two more meanings to this word swabhavam. So when we are presenting the Bhagavatam or reading the Bhagavatam, we want to assimilate the subject. We want to experience the subject. We want to be personally convinced of the subject. We also, Prabhupada says, you can appreciate and understand the nature of God through the subject. So we may not be self-realized and we may not be completely convinced, but at least swanubhavam, we can appreciate Krishna, we can appreciate the glories of Krishna, the powers and potence of Krishna through the pages of Bhagavatam. And this way we can understand the nature of God. So even appreciating Krishna's potencies, powers, abilities, mercy to his devotees in different ways, this appreciation is also very, very conducive to our bhakti. Prabhupada then continues in the purport about happiness. Everyone wants happiness. And Prabhupada writes, Srila Sukadeva Goswami was a thoroughly realized master of the Vedanta Sutra. And consequently, he also personally realized the commentary, Srimad Bhagavatam. And just to show his boundless mercy upon bewildered materialistic men who want to cross completely over nations, he recited the first time this confidential knowledge. We're going to hear again and again Srila Prabhupada making this specific point about completely crossing over nations. Right? So here's the first time Prabhupada saying, this is what Bhagavatam is meant for. Bhagavatam is not meant for anything but to allow us to completely cross over all material nations, all suffering. Then Prabhupada continues, there is no point in arguing that a materialistic man can be happy. So if you ask someone, how are you? And they say, I'm happy, they're lying. No one in this material world can be happy. And Prabhupada is making a point that it's not a question of debate. Right? It is not possible. Therefore, you can't even debate this point. It's just, you can't argue it. It's not possible, and therefore there is no question of arguing. No materialistic creature, be he the great Brahma or an insignificant ant, can be happy. Everyone tries to make a plan, permanent plan for happiness, but everyone is baffled by the laws of material nature. Therefore, the materialistic world is called the darkest region of God's creation. Yet, the unhappy materialists can get out of it simply by desiring to get out. Here is the key. Here is the secret. People ask, how can I get free from material suffering? How can I get out of material suffering? How can I go back to Godhead? It's very simple. It's based on your desire. Simply your desire. We desired and we came to this material world. We can desire and we can go out of this material world. Now, even though it's simple, that it's simply based on desire, the problem is we have 1,000,001 desires. Now we may desire, yes, I want to go back home. Next second we desire, well, it's not so bad. Yeah, I mean, there is suffering. Yeah, COVID is there, difficulty, but it's tolerable. I manage. No, but we must go back. So in this way we seesaw. The goal is to keep our desire consistent, to increase that consistent desire of going back to the spiritual world. And the more we consistently grow that one desire, Vyava Sayatmika Buddhir Eke Akuru Nandana. We want to have one pointed intelligence, one pointed focus. Just like a magnifying glass, if you take a magnifying glass and a piece of paper in the sun rays, you can, if you just move the magnifying glass anywhere and everywhere, you really can't burn that paper. But if you start to focus all the rays to one point using the magnifying glass, you can burn the paper. So we want to concentrate all our desires to one desire, simply to please Guru and Krishna, simply to go back to the spiritual world. And in that way, we can start our journey. Unfortunately, they are so foolish that they do not want to escape. Therefore, they are compared to the camel who relishes thorny twigs because he likes the taste of twigs mixed with blood. He does not hesitate that it is his own blood and that his tongue has been cut by the thorns. You see this in the desert. There's cactus, there's different thorn trees. And the camel goes and, he naturally just bites on the thorns, even though it's damaging his palate, tongue. But because of the taste that's mixed with the thorns, he thinks very relishable, very nice, and he's chewing. So we in the same boat, we in this material world, and we are getting cut in so many ways. But yet, because we may be tasting some flickering happiness, we think it's okay. We don't realize that it's very detrimental. So let us cover why does Srila Prabhupada emphatically say that there's no point of arguing? You really cannot be happy in this material world. And we ourselves, those who are on this path of bhakti, need to realize this. We need to be convinced. We need to appreciate this point that, yes, there is no happiness in this world. It's not wrong to be happy. It's not wrong to strive for happiness, but not in a place where it doesn't exist. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita 18th, 15th verse in 8th chapter, Krishna says, Dukhalayam ashashvatam. This material world is dukhalayam. It's a place of misery. It's a abode of misery. If it's an abode, a place of misery, then how can you be happy in a place of misery? And even if there's some happiness, the problem is that this material world is temporary, ashashvatam. Therefore, because it's temporary, it's going to be short-lived, and being short-lived, it's going to cause pain. It's like you give if you bring a doll to a child, the child is very happy that that it's got a gift, a doll, and therefore it gets some temporary pleasure. But that same doll is going to be giving misery to the child when it's destroyed. So, like that, everything in this material world ultimately leads to misery because it's the nature of this world, dukhalayam. Then there is chapala sukha, very flickering happiness, which does not satisfy the soul. And you cannot constantly engage in enjoyment. Just like if you love eating pizzas, you can't keep eating pizzas. 1 hour, next hour, next hour, next hour, next hour, you can't do that. You have to go like a pendulum, bhoga and tyaga, enjoy, renounce, enjoy, renounce. Today you have pizza, then you take a break after 7 days, you have another pizza, you take a break, then you have pizza. That's the nature of this world. You can't keep enjoying that which you like. It's not designed that way. Whereas the nature of the soul is that the soul wants permanent happiness. And the soul wants ever increasing happiness. Anandam bodhi vardhanam. Right? That's the happiness that we want. You can't find that in this material world. The body itself is not designed for happiness. It's designed for suffering. So you have a vehicle, you have a cage, you have a house, this body, which is more suitable for suffering than for happiness. How can you be happy in this world with such a vehicle, such a body? Just take, for example, your thumb. You can inflict pain in so many ways on your thumb. You can cut it, bite it, prick it, poison it, pull the nail out, smash it, grind it, shred it, twist it. You can, so many ways, thread it. Different ways you can cause pain to your thumb. But try to enjoy through your thumb. It's practically very difficult to enjoy directly. If you get a cut, then you can put a plaster. But that is not ananda. Right? Getting cut and putting a plaster is really material happiness, which is sensation of pain. Right? When there is no pain, then you feel happy. That's really not Ananda. That's not what the soul is seeking. The soul is seeking bliss, Ananda. Therefore, you cannot be happy in this world. And then happiness is not compatible to what you want. It's not your nature. Your nature is Sat Chit Ananda. And because you are searching for Ananda, then no material pleasure, temporary, flickering, chapala sukha, material pleasure, or even any form of cessation of pain can satisfy the soul. Therefore, Prabhupada's point is, you cannot argue this point. No one can be happy. Whether you are Brahma, the highest living being, or the most insignificant ant or Indra Gopajam, you cannot be happy. We should be convinced about this point. There are different sources of happiness. There are happiness coming from objects, like mystic perfection, siddhi, and sensory pleasure, bhukti, are both in the category of happiness from objects called Vaisaya Sukha. So this is happiness, material happiness coming from material objects. Then there is happiness that comes from the soul, which is liberation or mukti. And this is in the category of happiness that comes from the so-called Brahma Sukha, especially when the living entity wants to merge with God, merge with the light. Krishna gives him that opportunity to merge with his effulgence. There is no service there, but there is Brahma Sukha. We find in the case of the yogis, like Sobari Muni, they were great mystic yogis. They had many mystic powers. They can do different things. They can create different objects. So that is material Vaishaya Sukha, and then Brahma Sukha. And then finally there is Aishwarya Sukha. This is coming from the Lord. Supreme eternal bliss or Paramananda is in the category of happiness from the Lord. So this is the happiness we seeking for as spiritual beings. Because we are part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna is Anandamaya Vyasat. It's always also seeking pleasure. And we are part and parcel, therefore we are also seeking the same pleasure. And that's the pleasure that will really satisfy us. Prabhupada in the purport talks about the soul journey for this happiness. He continues, similarly to the materialists, his own blood is as sweet as honey. And although he is always harassed by his own material creation, he does not wish to escape. Such materialists are called karmis. Out of hundreds and thousands of karmis, only a few may feel tired of material engagement and desire to get out of the labyrinth. Such intelligent persons are called jnanis. The Vedanta Sutra is directed to such jnanis. But Srila Vyasadeva, being the incarnation of the Supreme Lord, could foresee the misuse of the Vedanta Sutra by unscrupulous men, and therefore he personally supplemented the Vedanta Sutra with Bhagavad Puran. It is clearly said that this Bhagavatam is the original commentary of the Brahma Sutras. Srila Vyasadeva also instructed the Bhagavatam to his own son, Srila Sukadeva Goswami, who was already at a liberated stage of transcendence. Srila Sukadeva realized it personally and then explained it. By the mercy of Srila Sukadeva, the Bhagavad Vedanta Sutra, the Bhagavad Vedanta Sutra is available for all those sincere souls who want to get out of material existence. So here again, Srila Prabhupada is stressing this point. Bhagavatam is not for making money. Bhagavatam is not for entertainment. Bhagavatam is for getting out of material existence. It's to stop material life altogether, once and for all. And Prabhupada also talked about the journey. The karmis, then the jnanis who are little intelligent to say, yes, I need to get out. Then finally, the yogis who try to perfect Astanga yoga, and finally the devotees who understand the real purport of their existence. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, there's a gradation of happiness given. There it says, suppose there is a young man in the prime of life. He's good, he's extremely learned, he's most expeditious, he's most strongly built, most energetic. So consider this young man who has everything conceivable, right? Good health, good looks, good everything, good energy, like a perfect person. And suppose there lies this earth for him filled with wealth, and he's got all the wealth on this planet. So he's got everything. And that's what all the karmis are endeavoring for, right? They all want good health, they want wealth, they want everything, youth, relationships, everything. So let's say we give them all this. That's called one human being, the specific human being. If you take his joy and multiply it 100, you get the joy of a human Gandharva. If you take that joy of 100 of a human Gandharva and multiply it by 100, you get the joy of heavenly Gandharva. You take that, multiply by 100, you get joy of Pitru. If you take multiply that by 100, you get the joy of Ajanajadeva. If you take the joy of that person and you multiply by 100, you get the joy of Karma Deva. If you take multiply by 100, you get a joy of Deva. You multiply that by 100, you get a joy of Indra. You multiply by 100 again, you get the joy of Brihaspati. You multiply by 100, you get a joy of Prajapati. Multiply by 100 and you get a joy of Brahma. So that means you can understand that the material joy is totally insignificant compared to all these different gradations of joy, right up to Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma's joy is 100 times 100 times 100, you multiply it. Inconceivable pleasure in the heavenly planets and right up to Brahma. Right? So there is gradations of material pleasure. But none of this material pleasure, as we already established, can satisfy the soul. Yet, listen to this. Take that Brahma's pleasure. Right? And in Brahma's, in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is stated, if Brahmananda, now Brahmananda, if you take the pleasure that Lord Brahma is receiving, and you multiply that an infinite number of times, that will give you the joy that is experienced in Brahmananda, when the soul is merging with Brahman. If Brahmananda, that pleasure, now the transcendental bliss derived from understanding impersonal Brahman, were multiplied 1,000,000 times, such a quantity of Brahmananda could not compare with even an atomic portion of the pleasure relished in pure devotional service. And then Prabhupada in Chaitanya Charitamrita 7 Adi Leela 797 says, compared to the ocean of transcendental bliss that one tastes by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, the pleasure derived from impersonal Brahman realization, Brahmananda, is like a shadow water in a canal. So we can appreciate a little what it means to tap into a real, pure devotional pleasure. It's inconceivable. Yeah, it's not comparable. In fact, in Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he starts off the comparison with Brahmananda. He doesn't even go into the comparison in relation to material pleasure called Nirananda. He doesn't even discuss that because there's no comparison. If you compare Brahmananda, multiply 1,000,000 times, it's not even a fraction of pleasure compared that you can experience in pure devotional service. What to talk about? Material pleasure. Doesn't even feature. So we should stop searching for material pleasure. Right? We have access, we have the key, we have everything we need to tap into pure devotional pleasure, simply by chanting Hare Krishna. If we're not tasting this we should understand it's like we jaundice. Somebody who eats sugar candy, who has jaundice, liver disease, then sugar candy tastes bitter. But the only cure is sugar candy. So he keeps taking sugar candy, and his taste manifests again. The sugar starts to taste sweeter. So it's not that the sweetness of the sugar has changed. It's that he's cured. He's getting cured of his disease. So if we chant Hare Krishna and there is no taste, then we should continue chanting until we can start experiencing this taste. Naturally praying to the Lord that please allow me to serve you. Please allow me to taste the nectar of your service. This is my position. In this way, begging with humility, we can tap into this wonderful source of ultimate pleasure that we're seeking. And then Prabhupada concludes on the glorious Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the one unrivaled commentary on Vedanta Sutra. Sripad Sankaracharya intentionally did not touch it because he knew that the natural commentary would be difficult for him to surpass. So Shankaracharya propounded the monistic philosophy that we all one. And we already touched on this point that we are one and we're also not one. We one with God in quality. We different from God in quantity. So achintya beda beda, we one and different. Sankaracharya propounded this oneness because he was defeating Buddhism. So he had to establish this systematically. But he did not give a commentary on Bhagavatam because he knew that that would contradict his own philosophy that he came to give. He wrote his Sharira Bhashya, and his so-called followers depreciated the Bhagavatam as some new presentation. One should not be misled by such propaganda directed against the Bhagavatam by the Mayavad school. From this introductory sloka, the beginning student should know that Srimad Bhagavatam is the only transcendental literature meant for those who are Paramhamsas and completely freed from the material disease called malice, envy. The Mayavadis are envious of the personality of Godhead, despite Sripad Sankaracharya's admission that Narayan, the personality of Godhead, is above the material creation. The envious Mayavadi cannot have access to the Bhagavatam, but those who are really anxious to get out of this material existence may take shelter of this Bhagavatam because it is uttered by the liberated Srila Sukadeva Goswami. It is the transcendental torchlight by which one can see perfectly the transcendental absolute truth realized as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So this is the glory of Srimad Bhagavatam. And we are blessed and fortunate to be able to associate with Srimad Bhagavatam. Do not let this opportunity by. Take full advantage of this opportunity while we have the time and the health. Then text 4. This is the famous verse that we recite in glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam. Narayanan namaskritya narachaivam narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jaya udirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vasudeva, the author. So Sudha Goswami first offered obeisances to his spiritual master, glorified his spiritual master, and now he's glorifying Lord Narayan, who is Krishna himself, the absolute truth, the object of Srimad Bhagavatam. He glorifies Narayan Rishis. They will be described in the 12th canto. It's explained that they are still living in Badrik Ashram. And it is described that Narayan Rishi, they are the presiding deity of Srimad Bhagavatam, and therefore he's glorifying them. Mother Saraswati, it is described she is the power of Srimad Bhagavatam, and therefore she is glorified. And Srila Vasudeva, he is the author. So all these personalities have been offered obeisances. Srila Prabhupada in the purport gives us the solution to all our struggles. He says all the Vedic literatures and the Puranas are meant for conquering the darkest region of material existence. Again, Prabhupada is making this point. It's about getting out. The living being is in a state of forgetfulness of his relationship with God due to his being overly attracted to material sense gratification from time immemorial. So we've been foolish like that camel again and again and again. Not once, not twice, not 10 times, not 100 times, not 1,000 times, not 100,000 times. We have gone through this 8.4 million times again and again. This is how foolish we have been. So we don't want to continue our foolishness. We want to accept, appreciate, realize, and then perfect our lives. His struggle for existence in the material world is perpetual, and it is not possible for him to get out of it by making plans. If he at all wants to conquer this perpetual struggle for existence, he must re-establish his eternal relationship with God. And one who wants to adopt such remedies, one who wants to adopt such remedial measures must take shelter of literatures such as the Vedas and the Puranas. We can understand we failed because we have not re-established our relationship with Krishna. And that is why Srimad Bhagavatam is such an important scripture, because it's going to facilitate this relationship and try to recollect, revive our memory in relation to Krishna, constantly meditate on Krishna. And this way we can establish and solidify this relationship with Krishna. Foolish people say that the Puranas have no connection with the Vedas. However, the Puranas are supplementary explanations of the Vedas intended for different types of men. All men are not equal. There are men who are conducted by the mode of goodness, others who are under the mode of passion, and others who are under the mode of ignorance. The Puranas are so divided that any class of men can take advantage of them and gradually regain their lost position and get out of the hard struggle of existence. Just appreciate Prabhupada's use of words. Get out. It's not like saying, you see in the first paragraph, Prabhupada says, get out. Here Prabhupada says, get out. It's when you tell someone, just get out. It's like, I'm fed up, just get out. Right? It's not telling someone, please go. No. Get out. Means like, you shouldn't be here. This is dangerous. This is not fit for you. Just get out. Right? It's Prabhupada's compassionate way to really, get this into our consciousness that yes, I need to get out. Prabhupada in other purports would say, we're gonna come in the Bhagavatam, this material world is like a rubbish bin. If it's a rubbish bin, what are you doing in it? You could say, you rubbish, right? Get out. You don't belong in this rubbish bin. You are a pure servant of Krishna. You belong in his embrace. You belong in the spiritual world, not here. So get out. Srila Sukadeva Goswami shows the way of chanting Puranas. This may be followed by persons who aspire to be preachers of the Vedic literatures and the Puranas. Srimad Bhagavatam is a spotless Purana, and it is especially meant for those who desire to get out of material entanglement permanently. That's 3 times in this purport. Prabhupada has used the word get out. Let us heed that advice, that instruction. And Prabhupada did everything for us to help us to get out. Now, Prabhupada in this paragraph talks about the Puranas. The Puranas are for all types of people. The Vedas does not want to exclude anyone to go back to the spiritual. Why? Because everyone is connected to Krishna. We are all part and parcel of Krishna. Therefore, everyone has the right to be in the spiritual world. No exclusion. And because people are on all levels of degradation and advancement, all the Puranas are divided for ignorance, passion, and goodness. So yes, there may be Puranas that promote, let's say 1 or 2 scriptures in a mode of ignorance will promote meat eating. The rest will condemn meat eating, right? So the rules and regulations changes according to different scriptures. Srimad Bhagavatam is spotless. It's to help everyone return back to the spiritual. To give an example, like in scripture, they talk in Kali Puran, where you can offer, meat. People want to eat meat, then Kali Puran will describe how you can eat meat only once in a month. You can take a goat. You must sacrifice the goat on your own. Midnight, dark moon night, you must sacrifice that goat. And before you kill that goat, you must say a mantra. And that mantra goes like, I'm killing you in this life for my pleasure. Next life, you can kill me and eat me. And the person will do that. But because he's following the Vedas, slowly he's going to get purified. And one day it will trigger, oh, what am I doing? Hold on. And that's the goal. Then he wants to advance and get purified of all the reactions that have accrued. So this is how the Vedas are meant to help. Prabhupada says the Sanskrit word mamsa means meat. It is said, mamsa kadati iti mamsa. That is, I am now eating the flesh of an animal who will someday in future be eating my flesh. So they may do this and they may think, but because they haven't got the realization due to the purification, they won't get it. So therefore, by doing the activity, they're getting purified, following the Vedas, and slowly one day they will get it. So we also sometimes may not get it, that we need to get out. But by constant association with the Bhagavatam, by constant hearing, by constant reading, by constant chanting, by constant serving, and associating with devotees that have stronger desire, we will one day realize, yes, time to get out. And finally, the last verse, Punaya sadhu prishtoham bhavadbir lokamangalam yat krita krishna samprashno yayatma suprasiddhati. O sages, I've been justly questioned by you. Your questions are worthy because they relate to Lord Krishna and so are of relevance to the world's welfare. Only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self. So beautiful response by Sutta Goswami, that I accept your questions, and your questions are loka mangalam, are worthy for everyone. Why? Krita Krishna samprashno, because they are related to Lord Krishna, and therefore they relevant to the world. And such questions and such answers, what will they do? Yatma suprasiddhati. They will actually completely satisfy the self. Every other question that we have been asking, every answer that we have been receiving, in every single situation of our billions and billions of lives, has still kept us in this material world where we are and unsatisfied. Only such questions will truly satisfy the self. And Prabhupada gives a beautiful purport. First, about knowing Shri Krishna. Since it has been stated herein before that in the Bhagavatam, the absolute truth is to be known. The questions of the sages of Naimisharanya are proper and just because they pertain to Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the absolute truth. In Bhagavad Gita 15:15, the Personality of Godhead says that in all the Vedas, there is nothing but the urge for searching after him, Lord Krishna. Thus, the questions that pertain to Krishna are the sum and substance of all the Vedic inquiries. So everyone is searching. Everything that we're looking for, and in every avenue, ultimately the reason we're looking is we are searching for Krishna. as George Harrison has written in his, he wrote a preface to Krishna book, and he starts off to say everybody is searching for Krishna. Everyone is looking for Krishna. Some know it and many don't. So for us to introduce Krishna to souls, this is the greatest welfare work, because they will now be connected and be satisfied, because it's truly what they're looking for. And by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, he has given us Krishna through the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then perfect questions, perfect answers. The whole world is full of questions and answers. The birds, the beasts, and men are all busy in the matter of perpetual questions and answers. And if you really contemplate on this point, probably so astute, so true, that if you see in every facet of our life, this is all we have been doing, asking a question and getting an answer. In the morning, the birds in the nest become busy with questions and answers. Where is food? Where is mother? In the evening also, same birds come back and again become busy with questions and answers. The human being, unless he's fast asleep at night, he's busy with questions and answers. And even when he's fast asleep in his dreams, he's asking questions and answers. The businessmen in the market are busy with questions and answers. So also the lawyers in the court and the students in school and colleges, the legislators in the parliament are also busy with questions and answers. The politicians and the press representatives are all busy with questions and answers. Although they go on making such questions and answers for their whole lives, they are not at all satisfied. Satisfaction of the soul can only be obtained by questions and answers on the subject of Krishna. So every other form of question answers is really Shreva eva kevalam, waste of time. Only questions pertaining to Krishna, relevant questions connecting and pertaining to Krishna, can fulfill the self. And finally, Prabhupada concludes, Krishna is our most intimate master, friend, father or son, and object of conjugal love. Forgetting Krishna, we have created so many objects of questions and answers, but none of them are able to give us complete satisfaction. All things but Krishna give temporary satisfaction only. So, if we are to have complete satisfaction, we must take to the questions and answers about Krishna. We cannot live for a moment without being questioned or without giving answers, because the Srimad Bhagavatam deals with questions and answers that are related to Krishna. We can derive the highest satisfaction only by reading and hearing this transcendental literature. One should learn the Srimad Bhagavatam and make an all-round solution to all problems pertaining to social, political, or religious matters. Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna are the sum total of all things. And this is why the sages' 6 questions are most pertinent, most relevant, and revealing their compassion for all of fallen conditioned souls, the most beneficial for us all. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments anyone has? You are most welcome to unmute and share your screen, and also type in the chat if you like. So Mother Lash has asked a question. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.2, second verse. Srila Sukadeva Goswami did not undergo purificatory ceremonies because he was liberated soul from his birth. So her question is, if Lord Krishna and Lord Chaitanya accepted spiritual master, even though they are the supreme liberated persons, then why isn't the example provided by the Lord not followed by all followers or devotees of the Supreme Lord? Why was this specific exception acceptable or granted? Yes, good point. So we see Sukadeva Goswami was what we call Brahmananda. He was in Brahmananda. He was a Brahman realized soul. You get a Brahmavadi, a Paramatmavadi, and then a devotee. So he was situated in the realization of the absolute truth as Brahman. That means completely free from material tinge. Right? This was the situation. Therefore, there was no need for any purificatory rite, or at that point, even accepting a spiritual master because he was liberated. But he was not in that Leela a pure devotee. If he had to regain his position as the parrot, Sukha, then he has to still continue further. Right now, he is the scribe. I can give an example. Consider you in prison. So in prison, you are entangled, you are bound. The goal of a prisoner is to come out of prison life and come into the free life. Okay. So the soul in prison, if he walks out of prison and stays in between the prison and the outside, in the middle, the doorway, he is liberated, but he's not free. He's not in the free world. He's not in the spiritual world. So you get the material world, you get Brahma Jyoti, and you get the spiritual world. So Sukadeva Goswami was in the womb, in the material world. He came out, and now he's in the middle. He's not perfect yet. He's liberated, but perfection is beyond liberation. Perfection means engaging in devotional service. For him to be engaged in devotional service, he had to take a spiritual master. And therefore, he came back eventually to Srila Vyasadeva and accepted Vyasadeva as his spiritual master. Okay, so therefore, in that sense, he did take a guru. At the point that we are hearing now, he didn't. We're going to be covering in future his life, and we're going to hear that he did take spiritual master. So everyone took spiritual master, including Sukadeva Goswami. Okay, depending on at what point their life is mentioned. So in this case, when he just left, yes, he felt that there was no need for him to take a spiritual master. But then when he got attracted by the verses of the Bhagavatam, then he realized, well, there's something that I can be, that's something that's pulling me. What is that's pulling me? Why is it pulling me? That I'm free from prison. But how come I'm so attracted to something that's there? Because we want to be servants. We are eternal servants of Krishna. We want to love Krishna. He's Sukha. He was a lover of Radharani and Krishna. So therefore, he had to eventually get Guru to help him there. So yes, therefore everyone, all incarnations set that example, including Krishna and Lord Chaitanya. Is Sutta Goswami also known as Sukadeva Goswami? No. So yes, Sutta Goswami is not Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami was the son of Srila Vyasadeva. Sukadeva Goswami spoke Srimad Bhagavatam to Pamaj Parikshit. And in the assembly, Sutta Goswami, who's the son of Ramahashana, was also seated there. And then on his travels, he came to Namisharanya, and there the sages headed by Shonaka asked him the questions. And now Sutta Goswami is glorifying his guru because he heard from Sukadeva Goswami, and then he's going to also share the dialogue between Sukadeva Goswami and Maharaj Parikshit. Lesher's second question: even low-born persons, Kirta, Huna, Indra, Pulinda, etc., can be delivered. Is there an official definition of this category of persons? Please provide reference for further understanding. So I'll get you, I'll see if I can extract some references. Yes. Remember, just like I gave you a reference from Taittiriya Upanishad, Srila Prabhupada didn't, go into all the details that I shared. Why? Because he just gives you the essence, like Rupa Goswami is giving the essence. Forget material pleasure, take Brahmananda pleasure, right, which is far, far glorious, and you multiply that 1,000,000 times and it doesn't even equate a fraction of devotional service. So like that, Prabhupada in certain contexts wouldn't go into the details, because even if we knew the details, it is irrelevant. The point made here is that no matter what your background is, no matter what low-born birth you have, no matter what tribe you're born in, right? No matter whether you're Gujarati, a Hindi, a Tamil, a Jew, a Christian, a Hindi, black, white, yellow, it doesn't matter. You could be born in any situation in the material world, and the point is, you surrender to the Bhagavatam, you surrender to Krishna, you can become a pure devotee of Lord. That's the point. But there may be references, for example, as people split away from Vedic culture and they move into different territories in the world, then they acquire specific tribes and they stay with different tribes, and then these are different tribes names according to the Vedas of where they positioned. And there are some details in terms of where these different tribes are located in different parts of the world and what culture they filter down in today's world. So I'll try to get you some details. Any other questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Viresh Prabhu.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Just this concept, the principle of Varnashrama Dharma.
Yes.
Yeah, it seems to be coming up quite a bit. It's very important. It's even repeated towards the end of Canto 7 or 8, I think. So how do we understand the different ashrams and the different varnas in terms of our situation now? Like where are we supposed to be in here, trying to be Krishna conscious, and how do we understand the goal within those 4 contexts, 8 contexts?
Yes. So Varnashram system, especially Devi Varnashram, which means Varnashram connected to Krishna, is extremely important. Prabhupada said that is the 50% that he did not achieve. So out of the whole mission that Srila Prabhupada had, 50% of his mission was completed. The balance of the 50%, if he had time, his next mission was to establish Varnashram system. Okay, which means these 4 divisions of ashrams and these 4 divisions of Varna. Why? Because that system is very practical in that it connects everyone to Krishna according to their position of guna and karma. So for example, let's just consider the festival of chariots, Jagannath festival. If you look at this festival is very wonderful. Why? Because it can engage everyone in all the ashrams. Consider the Sudra, right? Somebody that's hardworking, right? Laborer. They love working, they love hard work, laborious work. So during the festival of chariots, we get cleaners, we get people that may have to dig, right? We get people that have to put up the tents, right? That means we're engaging them. Then you get the Vaishyas. We have to engage the Vaishyas. How did we engage the Vaishyas? Paisa, they have to give the money, right? Donation, please give me some donation. So we engage them. Then we engage the Kshatriyas. How we engage the Kshatriyas? The policemen, the administrators, They have to, be the police, right? Like in our case, protecting security, the police cars, people from the police force. Then we engage the brahmanas, the priests, the pujaris. So in that way, we can see how we engage all these classes. Same thing with the brahmacharis, the grihasthas, the vanaprasthanyas, they're all involved. So this is the goal of Varnashram system, is if we introduce it, it will get everyone engaged somewhere along the line to the brahmanas, serving the kshatriyas, serving the government, who is connected to Krishna, who are under the brahmanas, who are completely Krishna conscious, guiding, and therefore everyone in the society gets benefit. They get sukriti, devotional sukriti. And Prabhupada wanted to establish that. Like setting up a farm. When you set up a farm, you need people that are working on the ground, on the soil, looking after the cows. Then all the four varnas are there, and the ashrams are stand. The ashram, the student life is there. Even now, we find, then you get married, grihastha or brahmachari life, then you get grihastha life is there. Then eventually, vanaprastha, sannyasa, all ashrams are there. So the divisions are there, it's just that it's not formalized. And it's not fully connected to Krishna. So therefore, Prabhupada wanted to establish that. And therefore, there's more discussions even now in establishing farm projects so that there can be more harmony and everyone can be involved in being situated nicely according to their varna and ashram and put Krishna in the center. Therefore, it is very, very applicable. Yes, due to modernization and modern society, we get distracted from this. Everybody just goes into, consumerism. Just like I don't need a garden and I don't need a cow. Why? Because if I have milk, even though it's not, it's a himsa milk, I go to the dairy. Right? I go to the supermarket. If I want spinach, I don't need a garden. I don't need my neighbor's garden. I don't need to barter. Why? I got spa. So because of modernization, we're losing the natural way, simple way of living. And Varnashram system is designed to help us with that. So eventually, as time goes, more and more devotees are understanding that we have to, somewhere along the line, roll out Prabhupada's 50% of what he has not done. I hope that answers a little. Then Meena says, is Vyasadeva and Veda Vyas the same personality? Yes, same personality. Vyas means division. Veda means knowledge. That person who has divided the Vedas from one Veda, Atharva Veda, one Veda, he divided into four. Rig, Atharva, Yajur, Samaveda. So that person who divides the Vedas means Veda Vyas, Vyasadeva. Then there's a question, Bafana's question. Injunction of get out cannot be emphasized more, and further it is very powerful. More so, this causes of question and answer plainly explains our frightened state of actually searching for the ultimate object of love, Krishna, our dearest friend. Wow, yes, I agree. It cannot be emphasized. It is no doubt very, very important. And we can contemplate this whole week, just contemplate on this point that Prabhupada is making. Our goal is to get out. Now, the beauty of Krishna consciousness is I'm here. I'm not going to get out immediately, right? I'm going to have to be a while here. I don't know how long Krishna is going to give me on this planet, but I'm here. So while I'm on this planet, Prabhupada says, make best use of the bad bargain. You have a bad bargain, this material body. So make best use of it. How? Engage it in Krishna's service, engage it in preaching Krishna consciousness. So while you are now in this material world, you are engaging in the highest glorious devotional activity. Therefore, you will feel bliss and experience satisfaction, and you will never be bound. At the same time, you're on your way out. So while you're on your way out, give value to others, give the highest value to others. Don't cause pain to others, but rather give them Krishna consciousness so that they will be benefited. Thank you. Any other last questions or comments anyone has? Hare Krishna. Meena says, I'm correct to say that Vyasadeva is the same personality in Mahabharata. Correct. That's the same Vyasadeva in the Mahabharata, who is the son of, so there were three brothers, Vyasadeva, Dhritarashtra, let's see. So Vyasadeva, I'll need to get, yes, it's the same person, but there's obviously a connection. Vyasadeva, yes. So Vyasadeva, his sons were Dhritarashtra, Sanjay, and Pandu. Right? He in Mahabharata. So that's how they are connected to Srila Vyasadeva. So it's the same Srila Vyasadeva. Thank you, Lesh, for your comments. Thank you for being present, and thank you for asking all your wonderful questions. We do not tire by all your questions. So do not stop asking all your questions. And in fact, some of your questions, most of the questions even help others. All right. Thank you very much for everyone's presence and association. Thank you for associating with Srimad Bhagavatam. Please now continue reading. Next week, we're going to be, if this section was so wonderful, you cannot wait for the next section, because now we're going to hear the answer to question 1 and question 2. The top questions, what is the ultimate good and what is the essence? We're going to hear that next week. See you all next week. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Nitai Gop Pramanande. Hari Hari Bol.